Bangkok has very quickly become one of my favorite cities in the entire world. Whoever told you that you can visit this place in 2 days just before visiting other places in Thailand doesn't have a clue. I can honestly tell you, you need a minimum of 7 to 8 days to really just touch the surface with what Bangkok has to offer. In this video, I've put together a list of the top things that you absolutely need to do when visiting Bangkok to get a real feel for the city. This ranges from some of the best temples, some tours that you need to do, even visiting some of the places that are just outside of Bangkok. But by following this list and doing some of these activities, you will start to get a proper feel for what the city is all about. And hopefully by the end of it, you'll share in my passion for this incredible city. But with that being said, let's crack on with the top things to do here in Bangkok. Now, in no particular order, let's start with number 1, and that is doing a food tour. We did a food tour with a company called A Chef's Tour. I'll put the link in the video description, and this was a fantastic way to get a feel for the different dishes that are famous here in Bangkok, and also trying them in well-regarded places. There are so many different street vendors and so many different food options in Bangkok that it's often overwhelming knowing where to start, what dishes to order, what's actually authentic, and what's a dish that you can trust. And by joining a local food tour with a reputable company, you can have full peace of mind that the dishes you're trying are top quality and from reliable vendors. What I really loved about this tour is the fact that we got acquainted with the local transport. The tour started from the new town and traveling to the old town in a local Klong boat. Now, this is one of the top things to do anyway in Bangkok, traveling on local transport. From there, we got on a local bus, which is a bus that only the locals will actually get on because it's not air conditioned. There's no real way of understanding the route unless you're from Bangkok. So it was a great experience, really feeling like a local. Then we got on an e-tuk-tuk, which is the new kind of tuk-tuks, which is electronic. So that was a really great experience as well. Now, once we were in the old town, we ended up trying a total of 20 different dishes, from starters such as grilled taro with rice, which is a sort of breakfast. We then enjoyed some mains such as sticky rice noodles, masamam curries, Thai green curries, so many dishes that Thailand is famous for, and they were absolutely delicious. We also learned what the local Michelin guide equivalent is when a restaurant has been recommended. All of these things we would not have known unless we had have joined a food tour. We saw so much. We saw the ingredients, how they were prepared. We got the opportunity to speak to local vendors, learn about the dishes and where they came from. All in all, honestly, an incredible experience, and one you should absolutely add to your list, even if you're on a really short trip. A food tour is an absolute essential, and it's a great way to get to know the local culture. Now, second on that list is go to Chinatown. This is genuinely one of the best, if not the best Chinatown that I've ever been to in my entire life. It's vibrant, it's busy, there's smells, the flavors of all the different food vendors. The way that we did Chinatown was actually by joining a food tour again, because Chinatown really is about the food. It's about experiencing the Chinese twist on the Thai food and really discovering how they do things a bit differently. You will notice there are local vendors everywhere, and there's no way that you're going to know about any of the spots and which are the right ones to go to unless you're with a reliable tour guide. Again, I'll put the link in the video description to experience the best way to do Chinatown. I absolutely loved this tour because it actually started around 4 or 5 p.m, which meant we got there for sunset time, so we got to experience Chinatown in the daytime, and then we got to see it when all the neon lights turned on and it became vibrant, it became bustling, the locals came out, the energy was there, and it was just a really remarkable experience. By joining this food tour as well, it was really organized. We were taken down the back roads to all the best vendors. We tried about 15 different dishes, and they were all absolutely stunning. On this tour, we got to visit different restaurants that we would never have stopped off at or known about. We also got to skip the queues. There were some places which were so busy, people queuing up for you know, half an hour even on waiting lists because they were recommended by the Thai style Michelin guide and also the actual official Michelin guide. But we were fortunate enough on this tour to just walk straight through. We had a table waiting for us. And we also tried a restaurant which sold these dumplings which the royal family were obsessed with. There were actually photos of the royal family because they were so passionate about this restaurant. So it was an amazing, amazing experience just to experience the best of Chinatown and really experience Chinatown in its full form. Now, next on the list is visiting the temples. And this is gonna account for tip number 3 to tip number 8. So let's start with the main temples that you need to see when you come to Bangkok. That is the Grand Palace, which contains the Temple of the Emerald Buddha, Wat Arun, and Wat Pho. So let's start with the Grand Palace. It was the temple that basically marked Bangkok as being the 4th capital of Thailand. This place is absolutely stunning. It is incredibly clean. It's a temple like you've never seen before. It's a truly spectacular place, and when you walk around you really feel like you're in a place of royalty and a place of absolute true beauty. You're absolutely gonna love it at the Grand Palace. So I would add this really early on in your itinerary when you visit Bangkok. And it also homes the Emerald Buddha, which is one of the most unique and treasured possessions of all of Thailand. Next, visit Wat Arun, which is also known as the Temple of Dawn. And to get there, you're gonna take a very short 1-minute ferry from where you were visiting the Grand Palace, just over the river, to visit Wat Arun. Now, Wat Arun actually used to be the old royal temple back when Thonburi was the capital of Thailand. And this temple is very unique because the style is very different. It's porcelain, it's white, and the steps are very, very steep here. So you're gonna feel really, really small walking around. Also, it's a good place to just pick up a fresh coconut and refresh from the scorching hot heat of Bangkok. It's a really unique temple and definitely one to add to your itinerary. Next up, head back over on the ferry back into Bangkok and visit Wat Pho. Now, this homes the Temple of the Reclining Buddha, which is the most enormous and stunning reclining Buddha in the whole world. It is really unique. I've never seen a Buddha so big, reclining as well. It's a really remarkable experience to just see it, walk around it, hear the people giving their donations constantly as you're walking through. But also it homes the original Thai massage. So if you're wondering where the Thai massage actually came from, the original school was in Wat Pho. So arguably you're going to get the best massage, the best Thai massage from there. Now, if you're wondering why I know quite a lot of this information, it is simply because I actually joined a tour with Quality Thai Guide. To book this, I will leave a link in the video description. Tip number 6 and 7 are the extra temples that if you have an extended period of time in Bangkok that you should absolutely visit. Number 6 is the Golden Mount. Now here it requires you going up a number of steps, I think about 340 steps I think it is to the top, but this gives you absolutely stunning panoramic views over Bangkok from the top. There's a gong there, there's some bells, you can ring them, you can get a feel for, you know, what the locals experience when they're praying. It's a lovely, lovely place. We wandered around and it was empty. It was squeaky clean, the floor was, you know, beautiful, and it was just beautiful to just walk around and just feel engrossed in that kind of Thai architecture and that Thai culture. It was a really stunning experience. And actually this is only walking distance to the Barn Butt community, which is where they make the monk's bowls, and that's going to be a later travel tip, so stick around for that one. Next up, number 7 is the Golden Buddha. Now this Golden Buddha was actually covered in plaster to prevent invaders of Thailand wanting to steal it, and it was actually only discovered to be solid gold only around 50 years ago when the plaster broke. It is a truly spectacular Buddha. When you go there and you see it up close, the size of it and the fact that it's solid gold, it is stunning. Now also on site of the Golden Buddha, there is actually a heritage museum that not many people know about, and you can learn about how Thailand and how Bangkok looked in the olden days. You do have access to that heritage museum as well with your ticket. So I'd highly recommend just checking that out, wandering around, seeing the kind of food, because there are some really great models in there for you to see how Thai life differed way back when. Next up, Travel tip number 8, and this is a surprise temple which is a little bit out the way. This is the Dragon Temple. Now, to get there, there isn't any public transport. Pay a local cab driver to take you over to the Dragon Temple because it's an hour's drive outside of Bangkok. Now, we paid about 2,800 baht to take us from Bangkok to the Dragon Temple and then over to Amphawa floating market and then back. So we had quite a big round trip with this local taxi driver, and 2,800 baht for me was well worth it because this Dragon Temple was absolutely spectacular. It's a 17-story building with basically a massive dragon just circling it from the outside. To get to the top, you walk through this dragon, which is just a really crazy experience because it's like a cave in there. But then from the top you get some stunning panoramic views of, you know, the surrounding farms. But honestly, like from the outside, looking at this temple, I've never seen anything like it. It was so unique to see. Stunning, and really gives you a feel for oversized exaggeration that Thais like when they build these structures. Stunning. Now, the top places that you need to visit from 9, 10, 11, and 12, these are going to be in the market section. We're gonna start first with Amphawa Floating Market. Now, this was part of our private taxi hire from the Dragon Temple. We then took our taxi over to Amphawa Floating Market. Now, when we got there, it was evening time, it was dark, but it was still lovely to get a boat and just go through what was once a very busy place. Now, Amphawa Floating Market is now more of a tourist attraction. The Thai Tourism Board have since around 15 years ago started to push it more to tourists, so it's not as authentic as it once was, but still it's a really great experience, and it's also a good chance to see the fireflies. We hired a private boat to take us around the Amphawa Floating Market for 700 baht. I think if you're to join a public one with the others, I think it will probably be around 50 baht, so it's a lot cheaper, but we just really enjoyed the experience of being on the water on our own, just with the freedom to just tell the driver to stop when we saw loads of fireflies. They were glistening, and it was almost like seeing like these little light bulbs. So really unique experience, and definitely want to do when you go to Amphawa Floating Market. Next up, number 10, this is Damnoen Saduak Floating Market. This for me was one of the best experiences in Bangkok. Seeing the floating market and all the locals wearing, you know, their local Thai clothes with the hats on, taking you on the boat through the floating market, seeing the vendors selling their souvenirs, selling their food, cooking the food actually on the boats. It was very touristy, but it was a much better way of experiencing what local Thai life was like on the canals. It really gave you a true sense of realizing, like, I'm really in Bangkok right now, like, you're never gonna get this experience anywhere else in the world. We went from the main area where the tourists are and the locals are selling their souvenirs, actually way into the local area, which is where just the locals live. And it was really quiet around there. And we actually picked up a coffee, orange infused coffee and a coconut infused coffee, both of which were really delicious, and they're famous out in Bangkok, those kind of coffees, and it was just unique to try and a really great experience. And I'll put the link to book this tour in the video description. And on this tour, it also included a visit to Mahanakhon Railway Market, which is another market that you absolutely need to visit and is a little bit out the way from Bangkok as well. So, number 11, Mahanakhon Railway Market. Now, this was absolutely unreal because you literally see this train pass by you on the market, literally inches away from you. And it's crazy to see because all the local vendors, they have all their stalls just out on the railway, and as soon as the bell goes, because the train is coming, everybody just packs up their things like it's another day at the office, just casual. The umbrellas disappear and everybody just moves out of the way for the train to pass. You've got loads of tourists there just taking photos with the train, which is just, it's just so sick. Why would you not? And the train passes, and then just like that, everybody just puts their market stalls back out and life continues. Absolutely bonkers, mind-blowing, really unique because actually the locals use this railway market to do their shopping. Our tour guide picked up some of her food that she was going to cook later in the day from this market. You're probably wondering, why make a market on a railway? The reason for that is because often the vendors realized that, well, actually being on a train, there's going to be so much traffic going through the train station, so this is a really great opportunity to make money and do business. So that is why the tradition still continues. Now, there are are only a few trains a day, so the benefit in joining this tour with Eat Like a Local that also take you straight after to the Damnoen Saduak market is it's really well organized. You don't have to worry about the train times. All you got to do is book the tour. They'll take you there. You'll see the train arriving, you'll see it leaving, and then you'll just make your way over to the floating market. So really, really great. And then they'll drop you off back at your hotel. So no having to haggle with taxi drivers, organizing the times, which is just a load of faffing and just hassle. Now, number 12, the last market that you need to do is a shopping market, right? And for that, the best one in Bangkok is undoubtedly the Chatuchak weekend market. Now, it is on a number of days through the week. I know it sometimes varies, so just check online, but I know at weekends like Saturday and Sunday, the hours are not as long in the evenings. So a lot of the stalls will start to close around 6, 7 p.m., a lot of the central stalls, but some of the other stalls around the surrounding areas will stay open until around 11. But at Chatuchak weekend market, you are basically going to find everything that you can ever find that is ever sold in any market in the whole of Thailand. Basically, it's a huge market full of stores where you can haggle, you can get really good deals, you can get the elephant pants for 100 baht, you know, you can get shoes, you can get gardening equipment, you can even buy pets, like you can buy everything here. There's a food section, and yeah, if you want the real Thai market experience, just go to Chatuchak. There's also a bar playing techno music, which obviously I saw that and I didn't have my USBs at the time, but I was like, I need to have a go. So I ended up DJing somehow. You know, anything can happen at Chatuchak weekend market. It was so much fun, really enjoyed myself there. Probably spent way too much money, but at the same time, it's so cheap. So I really didn't actually spend that much money in hindsight, considering how many things I got. Now, honestly, if you don't do any market in Thailand, which to be honest is going to be really hard not to, because everywhere you visit in Thailand, you're just going to see different night markets, and it's a really fun experience. Just make sure you do this one. Once you've done this one, you'll have got a feel for what a night market, a weekend market, a Thai market is all about. And that was the 4 kinds of markets. Next up, travel tip number 13. This is visiting the Barn Bart community. Not a huge number of people know about this, but this was honestly one of the most incredible cultural experiences that I got to experience whilst in Bangkok. It's only a 5-10 minute walk from the Golden Mount, and it's a community of people which make these alm bowls, which are these monk bowls, which has gone on for centuries. It's a tradition, family tradition, where they make these bowls, which then the Buddhist faithful people in Bangkok will purchase off these people, supporting the community, and then donate them to the monks. The monks will then use these bowls to collect donations, to collect food, to collect various other, donations to the monks. And it's a tradition that has gone on for, centuries. And for me, it was just a beautiful experience walking around that community, speaking to the locals. Obviously, it was fascinating to us, and they were so thrilled that we were so interested in what they were doing. They actually let me have a go at hammering the bowls. Actually, one of the locals took me on a tour around the community to meet their local famous alm bowl creator, because he had loads of photos of him and he was so friendly. He didn't really speak any English, but you could see in his face he was so happy to see other people thrilled with his work and, interested in his craft. Leave a donation, support the community, and, hopefully this does some good for them, because it was really, really beautiful to see the smiles on their faces and to see what they do. And also just a 5 to 10 minute walk from this, you can actually see the giant swing. I wasn't going to make this one of the top visited sites to do because there's not a huge amount of history about it. It's just a giant swing in the Chinese style, and it's right next to the Grand Palace. Next on the list, number 14, visit Ayutthaya. Now, this was more of a historical trip and a history lesson, because you learn about how Ayutthaya was the second capital of Siam, Thailand, after gaining independence from Cambodia. The first was Sukhothai, so after that was Ayutthaya. And this is actually an 80-kilometer drive just outside of Bangkok, so it did take just over an hour to get there, but we did this with a tour company that I'm going to link in the video description below. I can highly recommend it. Again, really well organized, private driver, air-conditioned vehicle, great fun, really, really good organized. And it started with a trip over to the Grand Palace in Ayutthaya, and we saw how this place had inspiration from Europe. It had buildings from China, from Italy, it had Greek buildings in there, and this was because the king that built this place took a lot of inspiration from his travels over to the West and wanted to incorporate that in Thailand. He wanted to show Thai people that Thailand is capable of the same kind of development that the West was capable of. So this was really great to see the Grand Palace first, and then we went on to visit all the unique, iconic places that you have to visit in Ayutthaya. Now, Now, these temples are completely unique to the ones that you'll see anywhere else in like Bangkok. So that's why I wanted to add it to the list, because it's a great visiting spot whilst in Bangkok to get a different feel of Thailand. These stupas were absolutely enormous. There are these like temple structures that are built to honor the kings, the royal family, loved ones, and they actually are what the Westerners would call as tombs, because they home the remains of the kings or the royal people that they were dedicated to, and also a lot of their really wealthy belongings. So they're all sealed off, but stunning experience to walk through. We also saw the Buddha face in the tree, which was unique because the story is that nobody knows how the Buddha face actually ended up in the tree. There was many people that tried to steal the Buddha heads, and that's why you see a lot of the Buddha heads, they've disappeared, but this Buddha head somehow made its way into a tree. And yeah, again, a really stunning experience over in Ayutthaya. Now, Ayutthaya was very badly destroyed during the war with Myanmar. Myanmar defeated Ayutthaya, and that is actually when Ayutthaya was no longer the capital, and the capital became Thonburi, more in central Thailand, nearer to Bangkok. So you will notice that the temples and stupas are not as well kept, but for me that just meant more, because we really saw the historical side of Thailand as opposed to seeing the temples, which are so beautiful and well kept in Bangkok. It's just a unique and different experience. Next up, number 15 is take a visit to Jim Thompson's house. Now, Jim Thompson is widely regarded as the king of Thai silk. He basically industrialized the silk industry in Thailand and did huge amounts for the economy. His silk was unique in that it was dyed, and he actually popularized Thai silk over to the West as well. It was featured in Vogue, in many Hollywood films, such as The King and I. The silk that you're seeing in that film is all Jim Thompson's silk, and still to this day, the company is operating as the Thai Silk Company. It was really cool to have a 30-minute tour of his house, and the house is actually stunning because it's made in a very unique Thai style with teak wood, which is now considered a protected wood similar to ivory. You can't build with it anymore. The house consists of 6 different houses, 4 of which were taken from Ayutthaya, 2 of which from the Muslim population across the river, and they were all put together without any nails because it's in the Thai style. They don't use nails. They're all just wedged together, and it's a really stunning house and a great place to just wander through and see how a wealthy Westerner would have lived in Thailand. So definitely take a visit to Jim Thompson's house. If you get there a little bit early for your tour, there's also access to a museum, which your ticket to Jim Thompson's house actually allows you access to, so you can learn a little bit more about his history and his involvement in the hotel, which he also owned in Bangkok with a famous female artist as well. Next on that list, visit Lumphini Park. Lumphini Park is a stunning, stunning place. It's the Hyde Park equivalent, the Central Park equivalent, and it is where the locals will come to get away from the busyness, the hectic, the vibrancy, the energy. Oh my God, I love Bangkok, right? You go to Lumphini Park and it's just such a unique experience because there's almost more people doing running and aerobics than there are just people walking around and using it as a conventional park. It's so interesting to see the locals running around the track, to see everyone doing their aerobics, but also it's a beautiful thing to just sit down and stare at the lake. And more often than not, you'll see these dragons, right? I like to call them dragons, but they're everywhere. And yeah, they're just wicked creatures. I've never seen anything like them. They're like mini Komodo dragons, but obviously they're not going to kill you. So really, really cool. Make sure you bring some mosquito repellent because they are in abundance in the park. My favorite time to visit Lumphini Park is in the afternoon, evening, around 4 or 5 p.m. and just enjoying the colors of the sunset. The sky lights up, the pastel colors, and it is just a beautiful, beautiful way to end a busy day in Bangkok with a visit to Lumphini Park. After returning to Bangkok with my girlfriend, I decided there was 4 more things that I wanted to add to this list. First is the Mahanakhon Sky Tower. It has the highest observational deck in the whole of Bangkok, with a glass walkway to get some super cool pictures. Well, that's if you can, because it seemed like everyone else had the exact same idea. The lift to the top had a super cool animation, and when buying your ticket, you also have the option of doing the first VR video game sky ride in the whole of Bangkok, which was also super fun. This is definitely a place that you have to check out. Next is the Icon Siam Shopping Centre. Now, in terms of shopping centres, the Icon Siam is by far the best in the whole of Bangkok. It has all the best high-end designer brands from Cartier, Gucci, Celine, Hermes, but also it has everything from H&M, typical Thai markets where you can buy the typical Thai clothing, great food market, and it's also super clean and just personally my favourite shopping centre in the whole of Bangkok. This is honestly the place to be on a wet day, especially if you're travelling during monsoon season. You could easily spend a full day here and still have a lot of fun. And also you can either take a taxi directly there or pay just $1 to travel across the Chao Phraya River. Now that nicely takes me on to number 19, which is the Chao Phraya Dinner Cruise. The Chao Phraya dinner cruise was easily one of the highlights from our time in Bangkok. Our ticket included an all-you-can-eat buffet packed with really great Thai food, sushi, fast food, and plenty of options to please everyone. It had live entertainment throughout the night with dancers, a show, and singers to finish the night, but it never felt like it wasn't intimate for us as a couple. The highlight though was seeing Bangkok from the water at night. It's amazing to see both the Grand Palace and Wat Arun during the day, but also to get a different perspective when it's all lit up at night. I'll leave a link in the video description for you to book the same tour that we went on, along with all the other tours that I recommend in this video. Last but not least, it is the Lebua Sky Tower. Now, in terms of rooftop bars, this has to be the ultimate one in Bangkok. The city has plenty to offer, but this one really stood out for me, and not just because The Hangover was filmed here. The panoramic views of the city are absolutely stunning, but the live music and the dome and the architecture of the building is honestly something else. You really feel like you're in one of the most high-end places here. They have a nice selection of cocktails, but be warned, it is extremely expensive. We spent around £110 for 3 cocktails and like 3 small plates to eat, which is absolutely crazy by Thailand standards. They also have a strict dress code, so make sure you're dressed appropriate. Be warned, this is a tourist spot, but honestly, it is one that you should not miss, and it is the perfect way to end your trip if you're there as a couple. There you guys have it. Those are my top 20 tips for when you visit Bangkok. So follow this list and you will make the most of your trip and have an incredible time. If you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure you check out the full Bangkok playlist right here and also subscribe to my channel. But as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.